Call the special city council meeting of Troy for June 12, 2023 to order, and ask for a roll call from President Stewart.
Mayor Baker?
Here.
Councilmember Abraham? Here. Councilmember Brooks?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Brianza?
Here.
Councilmember Erickson Gall? Here. Councilmember Hamilton? Councilmember Hoderick?
I did receive notification that both Councilmember Hamilton and Councilmember Hoderick would be unable to attend this evening. Councilmember Hoderick will attend via Zoom, and we won't be taking any votes in there today. She'll be participating in discussion. I think I'll go ahead and move their excused absences at the next meeting, just so that we can do that one as well. Okay. So first up then is public comment. I don't see anybody here signed up for public comment, so move on to business stated in the special meeting notice. We have one item tonight. D1 is the public-private partnership vacant park lab site 11. I will turn it over to City Manager Miller to start things out.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. We're proposing that we have this study meeting to discuss 3500 John R. Road for a non-development park proposal in a public-private partnership. And I believe this is also known as Site 11. Yes. And this property was purchased with bond money, which we just paid off the bonds in order to do that. So the purpose of this site was to be a park. That was the whole point. The city bought it 15, 20 years ago. With that, we've worked with these two gentlemen, which Kurt will introduce, and to this point, they have shown to be credible and put together a good package. We want to present that to City Council to sort of get, I know we don't make decisions here, but to see if we should continue this process and get much more formalized, because obviously this would be a public-private partnership. We'd have to have some sort of agreement written up by our attorney and their attorneys. And of course, they're going to have to build the site out. They'd have to get site plan approval, engineering, and everything that's required. So we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to turn it over to Kurt Bovenstein, who will jump into this right away.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you. I think Mark pretty much summed up my presentation in the last 30 seconds, so I'm done. Patrick Conable, and Mike Morris are with us today for League Sports, and they'll have a portion of the presentation. As City Manager Miller indicated, I want to take a couple minutes and go back and look at the history of where we're at with these parcels today. So back in 1998, the residents of Troy did pass Proposal C, which specifically allowed to fund the community center furnishing and additionally allowed us to purchase some vacant property and potentially develop it on these funds. City Manager Miller did indicate that those bonds are paid off, but we still have quite a few sites that are undeveloped because of it. So if we look at the actual land purchase from Proposal C on the map, it would be sites 1, 6, and 11. Site 9 is the Night Park, the Daisy Night Dog Park. So that site has actually been developed through a public-private partnership. The land we're talking about today, also known as 3500 or Site 11, I would like to note that we call it a Site 11. However, there is a bit of a discrepancy between the Parks and Recreation Plan and what the Green Space Subcommittee labeled. Our signs out there, as we label them so people are familiar with each site, we do call it Site 11. The sign is Site 11, so we're going to continue to refer to this site as Site 11. It's a total of 13 acres between both parcels. It was purchased in 2000 for a cost just over $1.5 million. This was purchased from a family. It did have a house on it. The house has since been demolished and now just currently has a garage for storage. The current zoning is R1C. A public facility like a park is permitted in this zoning district. However, I will say that any proposal improvements to the site would require the preliminary site plan approval through the Planning Commission. So they would have to approve any modifications to the site. Interesting, after we purchased all this parkland, in fact, all parkland, even outside of the purchase of Proposal C, just before the 2007 Parks and Recreation Master Plan, we hired a consultant to conceptually design every vacant parkland that we had. The only site that's been developed based on those conceptual designs is Milverton Park, and that park was developed through community development block grant funding, and we use those conceptual designs to develop that park. This here is a conceptual design for Site 11. As you can see, it includes a football field, soccer fields, basketball court, tennis courts, and some other amenities. As I mentioned, the Green Space Subcommittee did a great job and thoroughly looked at every single vacant parkland, and this is just their write-up in the report. And I will note that even though they call it 6.13 acres, they did not include the northern parcel. So it is, even though the Green Space Subcommittee's report does indicate 6.13 acres, it is more than that if you include the parcel to the north. So this is its current use. You can see the garage still stands, although it is in disrepair. We don't store anything of value in there because it's current condition, and it's currently being used as a staging area because of our slab replacement has a lot going on in that area, and it's being used as a staging area. Previous to this, the open field in the back of the building was used for practice fields for soccer fields, but it was never lined or maintained or had any kind of permanent goals. So it has seen some recreational activity in the back. If you fast forward to our current Parks and Recreation plan, I just want to point out that staff, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, recognize that any future development would likely need a public-private partnership or some grant funding just because of our current economic state. We didn't have the funds to develop these. So they specifically called out in the action item in the Parks and Recreation plan that any development should consider that public-private partnership, including the local sources. So now I'd like to introduce Mike and Pat, and they're going to come up and talk about themselves and who and what the league sports are.
Is it okay if I stand up here?
Thank you everyone for having us here tonight. Little into this, little background information on both of us. My name is Mike Morris. I'm a teacher in Troy School District. I've been a teacher since the year 2000. Started coaching baseball in 1999 in the school district, and I've been the varsity coach at Troy Athens since 2005.
My name is Patrick Connell, and I'm a little bit older than Mike. I've been doing this for 32 years, actually. David, I was looking forward to saying goodnight to him. He's one of my former students. So, I've been coaching football, basketball, wrestling, track, anything you can think of for 37 years. So, I do it because I enjoy it.
We started the League Sports Foundation. It's been a vision of mine and Pat Grick's for quite a while to grow just not baseball, but sports in general for kids. They'll have a spot for kids to play affordable sports. I coach both my sons and my daughter. I have a son at Bowling Green State University right now. I have my other son's going into 9th grade, and my daughter is starting 6th grade, so a lot going on in my house. And through coaching my oldest son and middle son, going around the tournaments and coaching, I saw just crazy amounts of money being spent by parents on youth sports. And I know baseball, and in particular sports in general, made a huge difference in my life. I know my parents, when I was younger, would not have been able to afford to pay for me to play baseball if it would have been the current prices. And so with becoming a phys ed teacher in Troy, sports made a huge difference for me, and trying to give back and trying to help out, with this and make it affordable for everyone to play, have those spots to play baseball fields, just around this general area. A lot of them are getting not the upkeep that might be needed. It's harder and harder to build baseball fields and make it affordable and to have use for them. So that is our goal. Patrick?
Yeah, the bottom line is we're trying to grow the game, and we're trying to do it in the right way. We want people to come out and enjoy the game. This is one of the reasons why we don't ever charge a gate fee. You can't believe the amount of people that come into the tournament and say, how much is the coffee? And we're like, it's free. And we have a sign that says, free Starbucks coffee. And they don't understand that because it's not that way everywhere else. We're like, it's free coffee. We have a great relationship with Starbucks. They provide the free coffee for us. every tournament we've done so far, and they will continue to do so. So people walk in, they're like, how much is it? We're like, it's free. We're like, what do you mean, there's no gate fee? And we're like, no, it's free. We want everybody to come and enjoy. You know, we don't want to charge $20 per person to get in, would it, you know, make our pocketbooks much bigger, of course, but that's not why we're in it. We're in it to actually grow the game and provide something for the youth that they just might not have anywhere else. If you ever go online and read some of the data, $10,000 in Florida is what some of these people are paying for their kids. They're mortgaging their houses so these kids can play in certain leagues. We don't want that. Like Mike said, I played baseball for the city of Sterling Heights because that's where I grew up. And there's no way I would have been able to afford to pay to play and get out of the sports stuff that I've taken away from it. You know, you can learn a lot from